In the small, secluded town of Oakwood, nestled deep within the dense forests of the Pacific Northwest, there stood an old, dilapidated mansion known as Blackthorn Manor. Abandoned for decades, its towering walls seemed to loom over the surrounding trees, casting long, eerie shadows that danced in the moonlight. Locals whispered tales of the mansion being haunted by the spirits of its former inhabitants, their restless souls trapped within its decaying walls. On a chilly autumn night, a group of adventurous teenagers decided to test their courage and explore the infamous Blackthorn Manor. Armed with flashlights and nerves of steel, they ventured into the darkness, eager to uncover the truth behind the ghostly rumors. As they stepped through the creaking front door, a chill swept through the air, sending shivers down their spines. The faint scent of decay lingered in the stagnant atmosphere, and the floorboards groaned beneath their feet with each cautious step. The interior was cloaked in darkness, save for the feeble beams of their flashlights cutting through the gloom. Tattered curtains swayed in the draft, casting eerie silhouettes upon the walls, while cobwebs clung to every corner like spectral shrouds. Whispers seemed to echo from the shadows, barely audible yet undeniably present, as if the very walls were alive with unseen eyes watching their every move. Nerves frayed and hearts pounding, the teenagers pressed on, drawn deeper into the labyrinthine corridors of the mansion. As they explored further, they stumbled upon a grand ballroom, its once opulent splendor now faded and decayed. A grand chandelier hung precariously from the ceiling, its crystals dulled with age, casting a dim glow that barely illuminated the vast expanse of the room. Suddenly, a chilling gust of wind extinguished their flashlights, plunging them into darkness. Panic surged through their veins as they fumbled in the blackness, their frantic whispers drowned out by the oppressive silence of the mansion. Then, from the depths of the darkness, they heard a soft, mournful melody drifting through the air, faint yet unmistakable. It was the sound of a music box, its delicate notes haunting and ethereal, sending a shiver down their spines. Driven by a mixture of fear and curiosity, they followed the haunting melody, their footsteps echoing through the empty halls as they navigated the maze-like corridors of Blackthorn Manor. Eventually, they came upon a forgotten chamber hidden away in the depths of the mansion. Dust-covered furniture lay strewn about, frozen in time like relics of a bygone era. And there, in the center of the room, stood an ornate music box, its lid cracked and weathered with age. As if possessed by some unseen force, one of the teenagers approached the music box and tentatively reached out to open it. With a creak of rusted hinges, the lid swung open, and the haunting melody swelled to a crescendo, filling the room with its melancholic refrain. But as the last notes faded into silence, a chill swept through the chamber, and the air grew thick with an otherworldly presence. Shadows seemed to coalesce in the corners of the room, twisting and writhing like specters emerging from the darkness. And then, with a sudden, bone-chilling whisper, a voice spoke from the shadows, a voice that seemed to echo from beyond the grave. "Who dares disturb the slumber of the dead?" It hissed, sending terror coursing through the veins of the teenagers. The teenagers stood frozen in fear, their hearts pounding in their chests as the voice echoed through the chamber. Their flashlights flickered weakly, casting eerie shadows that danced along the walls. A sense of dread hung heavy in the air as they exchanged nervous glances, uncertain of what to do next. The voice seemed to emanate from all around them, its source impossible to pinpoint in the darkness. With trembling hands, one of the teenagers managed to muster the courage to speak. We didn't mean to disturb anyone," they stammered, their voice barely audible above the pounding of their own heartbeats. But the voice only chuckled darkly in response, sending a shiver down their spines. "Ignorance is no excuse for trespassing in these hallowed halls," it intoned, each word dripping with malice. "You have awakened forces beyond your comprehension, and now you must face the consequences." The teenagers exchanged panicked glances, their minds racing with fear and uncertainty. What had they stumbled upon in the depths of Blackthorn Manor? And what dark secrets lay hidden within its decaying walls? Before they could contemplate their next move, a sudden gust of wind extinguished their remaining flashlights, plunging them into total darkness. The chamber seemed to come alive with unseen movement, as if the very shadows were reaching out to ensnare them. Panic-stricken, the teenagers groped blindly in the darkness, their hands clammy with sweat as they searched for an escape. But with each passing moment, the oppressive atmosphere seemed to tighten its grip, suffocating them with its malevolent presence. Just as all hope seemed lost, a faint glimmer of moonlight filtered through a nearby window, casting a dim glow upon a hidden doorway in the corner of the chamber. With a surge of desperation, they stumbled towards it, their hearts racing with renewed determination. But as they reached the threshold of the doorway, a bone-chilling laughter echoed through the chamber, freezing them in their tracks. "There is no escape from Blackthorn Manor," the voice taunted, its words sending a chill down their spines. With trembling hands and racing hearts, the teenagers stood frozen in the threshold of the hidden doorway, their minds clouded with fear and uncertainty. The chilling laughter lingered in the air, its echoes reverberating through the chamber like a sinister refrain. But despite the overwhelming sense of dread that gripped them, a flicker of determination ignited within their hearts. They refused to succumb to the darkness that threatened to consume them, clinging to the faint hope of escape. Summoning every ounce of courage they possessed, they stepped forward into the hidden passageway, their footsteps echoing softly against the stone walls. The air grew colder with each passing moment, and the darkness seemed to deepen, enveloping them in its suffocating embrace. As they ventured deeper into the labyrinthine depths of Blackthorn Manor, they became acutely aware of a presence lurking in the shadows, a malevolent force that watched their every move with hungry eyes. Whispers brushed against their ears like icy tendrils, sending shivers down their spines as they navigated the maze-like corridors. The very walls seemed to pulse with a sinister energy, as if the mansion itself was alive with malevolence. But despite the overwhelming sense of danger that surrounded them, they pressed on, driven by the desperate need to escape the clutches of Blackthorn Manor. With each passing moment, their resolve strengthened, fueled by the faint glimmer of hope that burned within their hearts. And then, just when they thought they could go no further, they stumbled upon a hidden chamber concealed deep within the bowels of the mansion. Its walls were lined with ancient tomes and arcade artifacts, their secrets shrouded in mystery. As they cautiously explored the chamber, their eyes fell upon a dusty old tome nestled amidst the shelves, a book of forbidden knowledge that seemed to pulse with an otherworldly energy. With trembling hands, they reached out to open it, their hearts pounding with anticipation. But as the pages of the tome unfurled before them, they were greeted by a sight that sent a chill down their spines, a sinister incantation, written in a language long forgotten by mortals, its words dripping with dark power. With growing unease, they realized that they had stumbled upon something far more sinister than they had ever imagined. The secrets of Blackthorn Manor ran deeper than they could have possibly fathomed, and the forces they had awakened were far more ancient and malevolent than they could have ever anticipated. As the realization dawned upon them, a sense of dread settled over the chamber like a suffocating blanket, and the shadows seemed to coil around them with hungry anticipation. With trepidation, the teenagers pored over the arcane text, their hearts pounding in their chests as they struggled to decipher its cryptic contents. The ancient words seemed to dance before their eyes, twisting and writhing like serpents in the darkness. But as they delved deeper into the forbidden tome, they uncovered a dark prophecy, one that spoke of a curse that had plagued Blackthorn Manor for centuries, binding the souls of the departed to its decaying halls for all eternity. Horror washed over them as they realized the true nature of the malevolent force that lurked within the mansion's depths. They had stumbled upon a prison of souls, trapped between the realms of the living and the dead, their restless spirits fueled by an insatiable thirst for vengeance. Driven by a newfound sense of urgency, the teenagers searched desperately for a way to break the curse and free the tormented souls from their eternal torment. But with each passing moment, the darkness seemed to close in around them, threatening to consume them whole. As they frantically scoured the chamber for answers, a sudden realization dawned upon them: the key to breaking the curse lay not in ancient tomes or forbidden incantations, but within themselves. With trembling hands, they reached out to one another, their hearts beating as one against the encroaching darkness. And in that moment of unity, they discovered the power of their own courage and resilience, a power that could shatter the chains of the curse and set the trapped souls free. With a fierce determination burning in their eyes, they stood as one against the malevolent force that sought to ensnare them, their voices raised in defiance against the darkness. And as they spoke the words of liberation, a blinding light erupted from their midst, illuminating the chamber with its radiant brilliance. The very foundations of Blackthorn Manor trembled beneath their feet as the curse began to unravel, its hold over the trapped souls weakening with each passing moment. But even as victory seemed within their grasp, a shadowy figure emerged from the darkness, a spectral apparition, its eyes burning with malice as it sought to thwart their efforts. With a final surge of courage, the teenagers confronted the vengeful spirit, their hearts ablaze with determination. And as they stood face to face with the embodiment of their greatest fears, they knew that their journey was far from over. The vengeful spirit loomed over the teenagers, its ethereal form twisting and contorting with an otherworldly rage. Its eyes glowed with a malevolent light, fixated on the interlopers who dared to challenge its dominion over Blackthorn Manor. With a voice like icy tendrils, the spirit spoke, its words dripping with venomous malice. "You fools dare to defy me, the guardian of this cursed place. You shall pay dearly for your insolence." But the teenagers stood their ground, their resolve unshaken in the face of the spirit's wrath. They knew that they were the only hope for the trapped souls of Blackthorn Manor, and they would not falter in their quest for redemption. Summoning their courage, they confronted the spirit, their voices ringing out with unwavering determination. "We will not be swayed by your threats," they declared, their words echoing through the chamber with a defiant clarity. "The curse ends here, and the souls of the departed shall be set free." Enraged by their defiance, the spirit unleashed a barrage of ethereal energy, lashing out at the teenagers with a ferocity born of centuries of bitterness and despair. But they stood firm against the onslaught, channeling their inner strength to repel the spirit's attacks. With each passing moment, the chamber crackled with the intensity of their struggle, the very air vibrating with the clash of opposing forces. But amidst the chaos, a glimmer of hope emerged, a faint, flickering light that pierced through the darkness like a beacon of salvation. Realizing that their only chance lay in unity, the teenagers joined hands, their spirits intertwining in a powerful display of solidarity. And as they drew upon the depths of their collective strength, a surge of energy erupted from their midst, enveloping the chamber in a blinding cascade of light. In that moment of transcendent unity, the curse of Blackthorn Manor was shattered, its malevolent influence banished forever from the realm of the living. The trapped souls were set free, their ethereal forms dissipating into the ether with a sigh of release. As the light began to fade, the teenagers found themselves standing in the midst of the chamber, their bodies trembling with exhaustion but their spirits soaring with triumph. The darkness that had once engulfed Blackthorn Manor had been vanquished, replaced by a newfound sense of peace and serenity. But even as they basked in the glow of their victory, a lingering sense of unease gnawed at the edges of their consciousness, for they knew that the darkness was never truly defeated, and that the shadows would always linger, waiting to reclaim what had been lost. As they prepared to leave the chamber behind, they cast one final glance over their shoulders, knowing that their journey was far from over. For in the world of the supernatural, danger lurked around every corner, and the mysteries of Blackthorn Manor were but a prelude to the countless adventures that awaited them in the darkness. As the teenagers made their way out of Blackthorn Manor, their hearts heavy with the weight of their harrowing ordeal, they were unaware of the darkness that still lingered within the shadows. Unbeknownst to them, a remnant of the curse had taken root deep within their souls, a seed of darkness that would eventually consume them from within. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months, but the lingering effects of their encounter with the spirit of Blackthorn Manor refused to fade. Strange occurrences plagued their lives, whispers in the night, fleeting glimpses of shadowy figures, and an overwhelming sense of dread that seemed to follow them wherever they went. Despite their best efforts to move on, the darkness continued to close in around them, tightening its grip with each passing day. And then, one fateful night, as they lay asleep in their beds, the darkness finally claimed them for its own. Their bodies were found the next morning, lifeless and cold, their faces frozen in expressions of terror. The townsfolk whispered tales of a curse that had claimed the souls of those foolish enough to disturb the slumber of Blackthorn Manor, a curse that had now claimed its final victims. And as the sun set behind the towering trees of the forest, casting long, eerie shadows across the landscape, the true extent of the darkness that lurked within Blackthorn Manor remained shrouded in mystery, its secrets destined to haunt the nightmares of those who dared to tread its cursed halls. For in the end, the spirits of the mansion had exacted their revenge, and the tragic tale of Blackthorn Manor had claimed its final chapter, a cautionary tale of the dangers that lurked within the darkness, waiting to ensnare the unwary in its unforgiving grasp. And so, As the darkness descended once more upon the town of Oakwood, the memory of the cursed mansion faded into legend, its name whispered in hushed tones by those who dared to speak of its tragic legacy. But deep within the shadows, the spirits of Blackthorn Manor watched and waited, their restless souls bound to the decaying walls for all eternity, their mournful cries echoing through the darkness as a warning to all who dared to venture too close. And so, the tale of Blackthorn Manor came to a tragic end, its secrets lost to the sands of time, its legacy destined to live on in the nightmares of those who dared to remember.